Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Ron and welcome to another roundtable session with Ben. Let's get Ben in here. How you doing, Ben?
Doing good, Ron. Happy to be here.
Thanks for joining me again today.
Of course.
Um, I'm always extremely grateful when I get to spend some time with you, and hopefully everybody that's watching this thing will be able to get some knowledge as well. Um, so again, I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Of course.
Couple things we'll discuss today is we'll talk about the Lorex setup itself, and then we will go through a couple of the Lorex trades that we took today, and we'll take them bar by bar, and see if we should take them and why as the market approaches that particular setup. So Ben, you want to go ahead and start with just the basics of the Lorex itself?
So the Lorex is a trade that Lori has been trading for quite a while, and she put it together. And what's amazing about it is it uses data from the 30-tick chart, which is like a higher time frame chart compared to what we're trading is a 10-tick chart. Normally you look at the 30 and you get a broader view of what's going on with the market. And by using the order prints copier, you're able to take that data from the 30 and compile it and merge it with data coming from the 10-tick, and it gives you a setup, which is the Lorex. So you get confirmations on the 10-tick bar itself, and then you get confirmation from the 30-tick bar, and those combined, you're able to get a Lorex, which during back testing and forward testing has had a really good win rate. And then if you're selective on where you're taking the Lorexes, that win rate increases substantially.
Okay. Sorry, Ben, I'm just kind of trying to, as we're doing this, I'm working on some stuff behind the scenes. So
the super secret stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about super secret stuff, but it's once you see it, you'll go, oh, this is kind of interesting. So yeah, one of the things that I'm trying to work on is that when you're talking by yourself, then go ahead and just continue saying what you were saying, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for the Lorex, when it first came out, or actually before that, she was kind of talking about the Lorex and how they were working on it behind the scenes to where it'd be available to us. And I remember going through looking at the order print bars, and I was trying to piece together. I was like, okay, Lori's got this set up. This is what the bar is saying. What is this setup? And I was like 3/4 right on what she was seeing, but the other quarter that I wasn't seeing was like probably the most important part of it. So I was close, but kind of not really, I guess you could say. But yeah, that Lorex, since this came out, I back tested it a lot across a lot of markets, and the win rate has been like really good as long as you follow a few basic rules of the Lorex. The win rate can be really good.
Yeah, so basically if you notice that what we're doing is now when you're explaining something on your own, you basically get the entire screen to yourself, it's the same thing as if I'm just speaking. Again, guys, this is all work in progress, so kind of work with me. It's kind of like a one-man show trying to run all this stuff and um, try to get this thing as presentable as possible for you guys. So anyhow, so with that being said, should we just jump into the first trade that we had today?
Yeah, well, let's do it.
Okay. I think, what was it? The first trade was RTY, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go there. All right. So here we are. Market's basically coming down. And we basically blew right through settlement. And as we progress, we'll go this thing bar by bar. The market's keeping to go down until all of a sudden at this point right here, we get a potential setup. Now, if we look here, this is the actual OP bar that's right here. That's the actual bar. So Ben, how are we doing on our components so far?
We're close. Yeah, it's got everything. There's the indicator down on the bottom, symboling a portion of the Lorex. For those familiar with it, you can get 3 different indicators down there on the Lorex, and we have four things we look for each Lorex that were taken. So
yeah, not necessarily 4. It's just a combination of specific ones.
That's right.
And it can
Combination.
be any of them. So one of them would be a TX on the 30, which is indicated by the magenta TX here that was there. A regular TX on the 10 with the trapped orders, which is here, a cluster, and an absorption X. So we basically got 4 of our conditions met, which means that the next bar, when this bar closes, we're in. And sure enough, we got in. So this was our entry. And I'm kind of cheating because you can see where we actually got out. So on this bar when this bar closed, it hit our 10 tick profit, and this is where we got out on our first target, our scalp contract, and then our trailer would continue to follow, but it got basically taken out at break even +2, because that's the way we have it designed, so it reversed. If it would have gone up one more closing bar, it would have actually moved the trailer stop to this point right here, and we would have gotten basically exactly 10 ticks on the trailer instead of breaking even. Ben, you want to add some comments to that or anything?
Yeah, on the trailing stop, we goes up 10 ticks. We hit our scalp, and then what we've found is with these conditions, your probability to get a trailer, depending on what market and what backtest you're looking at, can be around 50% on the trailing. And so that's why we have it designed where we get our scalp, which helps obviously a winning trade, but helps cover the commission cost plus gets you in the green, and then we have our trailer down there. They can really run. I mean, it's not unusual to get a 30 plus tick runner on a Lorex.
Now, one thing, again, this wasn't the optimal placement for this particular trade because the market has been going down and it was a pretty strong downtrend. So this 0.25 level and this dynamic magnet would have been a perfect place for it to really bounce off of. So it would have been great if maybe it would have gone down another bar and then set up. It would have been a lot more of an in-your-face kind of a thing, because this stack right here would have been an area for it to basically go back and retest again, which is kind of what we were hoping was going to happen during this particular process. And unfortunately didn't go up high enough, and then if we can just continue, it tried to get there and then eventually just dropped.
Yeah, and then if you look on that trade to the left, where there's those two dynamic magnets, and then there's 3 bars with clusters on them to the left.
Keep going
to the left of the
set up here.
Yeah, up there. So you got a lot of orders, a lot of interest stacked at that area. And notice how that trade reversed, went right to that cluster level with the dynamic magnets, and then it turned around.
So there was a lot of things pulling it up at least for our scalp, so we can get at least our scalp out of it. And these 3 these 3 mini magnets and this mini magnet on the 30 was hopefully going to be enough pulling power. It got close. It definitely got our scalp for sure with no problem.
Yeah.
And then it just kept on going down.
Yeah, that's what NQ did today. It just straight down.
Yeah, we'll talk about NQ. We'll talk about NQ in a minute. We'll get to that animal in a second. So, all right. So that covers the YM trade. I'm sorry, the RTY trade. And the next trade that we had was a YM trade. So here we are. Market is sitting at this point. We'll go bar by bar. Ben, and you just kind of tell me to stop where, and then we'll discuss. Well, the problem is, Ben, I think you're probably a little delayed, so I'll stop for you.
No, I'm looking at the setup bar. Sorry.
Yeah. So, and it's kind of hard because it's the cursor is kind of hiding it a little bit. So.
Yeah. So
There's
once again, we have our setup bar with 4 of our conditions met, bouncing off that dev level, which is can be a good level to bounce off of. It's, we're not going through it, which is, you really never want to go through a dev level, but we got our conditions met, and then we're in the trade at the close of that bar.
Now, some things to kind of consider is if you look left, you look at all these clusters and all this ick, as Lori likes to call it in the Elite Room, which, by the way, I encourage everybody to come and join us in the Elite Room every morning, Monday through Friday, 9:30 Eastern, and we're there until 12 Eastern, where we're actually calling these trades out live, and it'd be great if you can come up and join us. And also, if you can hit the like button on this video if you like it and you'd like to see more content like it. And subscribe to the channel so you can get notified anytime a new video comes up, or when we start streaming these live, which is probably going to happen right after we leave the Elite Room, which is noon Eastern. So that was just a little plug in there. So yeah, so that all this noise to the left is kind of a little bit of a worry that we may stay in this chop, but the setup did come up and it met our condition, so we got in. Took a little bit of heat, as you could tell, came back down here, because one of the things that's characteristics about the Lorex is a lot of times it has the potential and the desire to come and test the cluster. Now, one of the things that we found, and actually Lori has found specifically, is that she really likes the placement of the cluster inside the box. That's like her optimum placement. And as you can see in this particular trade, that's exactly where the cluster ended up, is literally in the box. So when it comes back to retrace, you're thinking, oh wow, this trade's actually going to take a little bit of heat. But it usually ends up going back in the direction of the trade, which is what it ended up doing here. and we got out, whoops, right here.
Yeah, so it went up and hit the scalp. It went up and hit the scalp target.
Yep, hit the scalp target, which is this pink line right here.
And then 2 bars later,
the trailer got stopped out.
Yep.
At break even.
Yep.
And fortunately for us, this is what happened. So we actually were able to just get in our little scalp, and then down she went. So again, kind of a risky area, but we're just trying to get a scalp in there. And that's all we care about, is get in and get out. And that's what we did.
Yeah, so 2 scalps. There wasn't a runner, but like we said, about half of the Lorexes, give or take a few percentage points, you're able to get a runner.
So that covers the trades for today. If anybody has any questions, you can comment, below, and we'll try to answer them. Or if you want, we can actually cover those in the elite room the next day, the following day, if you post your comments. Okay, Ben, shall we switch on over to maybe cover some simplicity?
Simplicity. Today was a day of simplicity moves for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It was pretty crazy.
Okay, so since I have to control all this stuff, I'm going to let you talk, and I'll navigate. So here we are, right at the open. And we're basically in a dark zone in the open, for those that don't know. And the dark zone is basically a time where we don't place any trades. And that time is always when the market opens. It's 5 minutes before to 5 minutes after the market open, or any time 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after a major news event.
Yeah, definitely don't want to be trading during the news events, especially on NQ. That can be dangerous.
So we're in the dark zone up until here. We're out of the dark zone. So we would potentially be looking for trades. Now, Ben, can you see this? Is this refreshing semi-ring real time for you? Okay.
Yep, it's real time.
Okay.
So now we're out of the dark zone. So I didn't take this trade, but it's in a simplicity long. But I think the confirmation of the simplicity long happened right in the dark zone, or like right after the dark zone. I can't see the time on the chart.
Okay, well, I'll show it to you. So here is this is our setup bar right here. And it's at 9:33:30.
Yeah, so we were in the dark zone.
So we were in the dark zone.
Yeah, and plus taking that simplicity into settlement is something you would want to avoid. And if you're in it, you would want to be, once you hit settlement, you would want to be protecting pretty tight there at settlement. But we didn't take it because it formed in the dark zone. So not take that. So then right after it ran up, this is probably like 9:38, something like that.
Right here it's at 9:42:30.
I was kind of close. So, but then it goes right into a simplicity short.
And this is basically our setup bar. So as soon as the price breaks below here, we're in. Now notice we also broke this wall. So the question is, Ben, do we take this trade or not?
So this is not one I took, but I wish I would have took it. So it broke that level, and then if you look all the way to the left, you got that market structure. All those orders are stacked there. Well, they're not stacked there, but that's a big zone of interest. you got a simplicity short. The target, the easy target for me would have been that red ice level right there. Oh no, up above the top of the zone right there.
Oh, so right. Well, you mean the red eye block level? So
Or the eye block level. I'm sorry.
right where the magenta or the pink wall is.
Right. And what you'll tend to see is after, like as far as the open goes, you'll either see like a push up or a push down, and then you'll see a retracement to that area as the market settles. So I'm pretty sure as we continue through the simplicity, it goes down to that level and might even break through it. I can't remember exactly what it does. But yeah, so on that setup bar, it closes, on the next bar, it closes, you would be in the trade.
So Ben, I'm just noticing and I'm looking at stuff, which is going to be quite interesting. Remember, we're trying to record this session, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're not recording it. We're actually live on YouTube right now.
Oh,
So,
no pressure.
yeah,
no pressure.
No. Just a by the way, right? So I don't know if anybody's actually watching, but go ahead and continue talking about that real quick, Ben. I'm going to try to pull up the YouTube channel and see if anybody's in there and if there's any chat that's going on.
Yeah, so if while he's looking at that, but yeah, on this simplicity, it's coming off a red eye zone on simplicity and coming off of the gap level, that yellow line. It's like it's 11,579 is a gap level, and it's broken through settlement and a wall. So on that next bar, when it breaks that bar, you would be in, and then I would be targeting about 11,526, right above that eye block level.
Okay, so nobody's actually in, so it's okay. That's good.
That is good.
Yeah, it's a good test. So we're still streaming live, and we don't have anybody watching, which is kind of a good thing. But if somebody pops in and out or what have you, and they put something in the chat, that would be good. So we'll be able to see. So let's continue. So we got in, or we wouldn't get in, but you would get in. And go ahead, Ben. You want to continue talking about this?
Yeah, then you would have, so you would be in the trade, and wouldn't move your stop until you're at break even. But I think it moved pretty quick right down to that eye block area. Yeah, so right there, your target would have been either your target would have been hit, or you would have protected. Well, for me personally, I would have protected it, just not wanting, getting your target and then getting out.
And usually for protection on simplicity, you would basically trail this dotted line right here. So your stop would have been here. Depending on where you place it, you probably would have gotten taken out by this bar.
Yeah. By utilizing targets, you're able to not leave as much money on the table. Now, you might lose out on some larger winning trades, but there's always more trades to take.
Which is actually really good, because if you look at it, this thing isolated for a couple of minutes, and it was like a 10-point swing.
Yeah.
And then
the market was really moving.
And then eventually it broke down.
Yeah, so if you were being aggressive with your stop on the dotted line, you might have got taken out if you didn't have a target. If you were trailing on this, having a less aggressive trailer, that'd be the solid line. you would still be in this trade.
Yeah, and then your stop would have actually moved down to here at this point.
Correct. Yeah.
And then as the trade progressed, your stop would have moved down to here. And I think I probably would have hit, if you haven't set a target, would have definitely set a 0.5 deviation target at that point, because you're breaking all of this stuff that was happening, all this market structure here before the open. So again, as you can see, if we break clear below this, this would have been a really good target to have. Now again,
Yeah,
we're not cherry picking this thing. I don't even remember this market. I wasn't looking at Simplicity at that time. So just kind of like doing this bar by bar replay, I'm just kind of like, as we see it, you know, I mean, the chart's actually live. I just scrolled back on it. That's all it is.
Yeah, one of the things I know I've been with Apex for, I don't know, 2 years, a while now, maybe even longer. But I know that one of the things I struggle with is simplicity is like, oh, you see a simplicity, you want to jump in. You see a simplicity, you want to jump in. Now they don't always work. No trade always works 100% of the time. But one of the things I really look for is market structure. I'm looking at areas of consolidation. I'm looking for breaks. And then when I see a simplicity setup after it's broken market structure, because you don't want to go into an area where it's, consolidating or, coming right out of an area of consolidation. You want the market to have made a decision to move away from a consolidation point and then ride out the potential trend that's there.
Yeah, now
Yeah,
for me, I've been with Apex since January of this year, so I'm pretty still relatively new, and just started getting my bearings with everything. I would say probably like May or June, where I really started to get things, and things started to kind of get put together for me. So, and I'm still learning all this stuff, but trying to retain it all. There is definitely a lot of information for sure, but it's all there. And if we continue with this particular trade, which has not stopped out yet, remember we said 0.5 was going to be our target. Now our stop had moved to here. And there's our target. So we would have been out after being in right here. So let's say we got in at 555 and get out at 470. That's 85 points.
Whoa. Big trade. Big trade.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we wanted to put things into perspective, that's 340 ticks. If you're trading one contract, that's $1,700.
Yeah.
In a matter of, I mean, what?
Not very long.
7-8 minutes.
Yeah. So in the course of that trade, there was really three targets, right? So.
And we're still in it, by the way. So
you'd still be in it, yeah.
So there's no. Now Daryl, on the other hand, I don't know if he would have a target at this point. I can't speak for him. I don't know, but I know he would definitely trail this thing. So Ben, go ahead and say you were saying that there was the possibility of 3 targets.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at it, so that red eye block where I would have gotten out, that would have been a one and done trade for me. The next target could have been the 2.5 or the -2.5 dev. And then, I mean, you have multiple walls to target, and then the dev. I mean, there's so many good targets in that trade to hit. Now, they don't always blow through these targets, and that's why the targets are so important, because you want to just set a target, take your trade, and run, and not try and trail it for every possible tick. But yeah, by trailing with the solid line, you'd still be in this trade.
Yeah, so let's see what happens. Let's take this bar by bar and see what happens. Okay, so our stop is here. Actually moves up a little bit. still a profitable trade no matter what, even if you end up getting out here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now our stop moves down to here. Our stop moves back up to here. Our stop is here. Now,
And you're out.
if this bar, did it close? What happened? It did. It closed above it. So we'd be out right here.
Yep. So still a monster of a trade.
But you would have been out at this 0.5 target.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay.
So take your 300 ticks
and go home.
And go home.
Okay.
So now if we look at the simplicity chart, so there's an early entry. So after this trade settles and it's done, there's an early entry short right here.
Right here.
Going in. So the green wide line is an I zone representing a support level.
Right down here.
Yep. And then with two dynamic magnets right above it. And so usually after the market makes a big run like it just did, it's going to need a little time to breathe. So taking a simplicity right after a simplicity, I don't usually like to do that. I like to see some consolidation, some rest, and then looking for the next trade. So I would have avoided this early entry simplicity short.
Yeah, that's a great call. Technically, at this point, we would have been done trading for the day. After a trade like that, but if you're Daryl, you for sure keep going. And here's what happens next. Market at this point ended up consolidating a little bit. It gives us, this is an actual setup to go long. Now the question is, Ben, do we go long or not? Because basically we're going right into this consolidation area again.
Yeah.
But could we be going back up to test this area?
That's always a possibility that it's gonna go up and test it. But this is another trade I would have avoided because you're going right back into that consolidation pre-market. So that's where the market sat and consolidated for a good while, and now you'd be taking a long ride into this area that was a battle, 30 minutes ago.
The only good thing about it is that you've got settlement up there, potentially, and I say potentially, drawing price back up to it.
Yeah, for sure.
It did consolidate here after the open, right? Because don't forget, it did go up there during the open, and then it consolidated, and then it just went back down. So I probably would have taken this trade, to be honest, and try to ride it up to settlement. So Ben would have stayed out, I would have taken it. So that would put me in, let's say at 11.5. So let's see what happens.
Of course, it's going to go straight up to settlement.
Nothing is for sure, right? So again, I would have been in right here. So my stop has already moved to break even at this point. And I would have got taken out.
And then right there, if you didn't take that long, so now right there is an early entry short. But it's on a huge bar. So that disqualifies it for an early entry. Because you want to avoid those big movement spikes. I can't remember what happened there, but I think this is the
time. This is the time when Russia had announced that they were potentially using nuclear weapons.
So that's what happened this morning. I don't know. It was crazy. It was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, on a big bar like that, if you get an early entry, simplicity short, or long, it doesn't matter. You avoid it just because it's unpredictable at that point. You'll usually see a retracement on a big bar like that.
Now, again, we had no idea that this was even coming out. There wasn't a scheduled news event or anything like that. This just happened in the middle of the trade. Now, our trade was actually progressively going in the up direction, and then that just hit. And it still ended up staying within this zone.
Yeah,
So,
right at the pre-market consolidation.
Yep, and we have another Simplicity early entry long. So if you get rid of all this noise, this early entry long is right where we got in here. So the market did all this nonsense, and we're right back where we started almost a half an hour ago. Just kind of interesting to point that out.
And once again, it couldn't break that consolidation zone. It tried going long. It's tried going long twice. Just couldn't break it.
So now at this point, if we're going to look for any trade, long or short, we'd want something that breaks above this area or below here.
Exactly.
So here's our point. But the problem is that we're already in. And we're in back here. Where is it? Back here, right? This is our entry.
Yeah, that would be the entry.
So we're back here. So it's basically we missed this particular simplicity. We missed the boat on this one.
Yeah. And it hadn't broke once again, right back into that.
It still hasn't definitively closed. I mean, it just barely closed above here. I want somewhere above here, above this wall, to close to make sure that we get some kind of confirmation to go up. So it did just that, but again, we missed this particular simplicity. And there's settlement, right? So
yeah, hit your target.
yeah, very funny.
But yeah, as you watch these, as you go through, and everyone can do this, download market replay or do this after the trading session and just look at these simplicity charts. And I mean, once you start to get a feel for each market, how it breathes and rests, and you'll see market structure, and you'll see it come up to points, consolidate, and then run, go back to consolidation points, and then run. So you're really wanting those, identifying those consolidation zones, looking for simplicities out of the consolidation zones, and then identifying your targets. Really, you want to have your targets identified before you get into the trade, is ideally what you want.
So
now what time are we at?
Yeah,
right
we're
now?
like 40 minutes into the stream, so we can kind of wrap it
Or
up.
no, that's
Oh, you want to stay in or you want to wrap it?
No, on the chart. Sorry. That's what
Hold on one second. I got my phone's going off here and I apologize.
No, on the simplicity chart, what time are we at the market?
We're market at almost 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Okay, so there's another hour for simplicity.
Yeah, bear with me for just 1 second, guys. I apologize, and this is what happens when you're live. Life gets in the way. Okay. So you want to keep going, Ben?
Yeah, let's keep going. We've already had. I mean, that one simplicity was a monster. That was a definite one and done.
Okay, so here we have another short setup.
Yeah, the market.
This is our
Yeah, so
entry
we
right here.
we got another simplicity, but I mean, look at where we're going. We're going right back. We're
Into all
going right
this.
back into all that not fun area to trade in.
So our entry would have been, let's see, this is our bar, so our entry would have been here.
Yep.
So let's call it 11,537. So we're already in a profit because our stop had moved beyond. And again, targeting the 0.5, I think, is,
Yeah, coming back down to where it bounced off of previously if you were to get into this trade. But if you were to avoid the trade because it's going into that.
consolidation area, you would have not made a mistake, or you would have not made a mistake. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
You'd have
for
been okay
sure.
to stay out. And it hit target right there, 0.5.
And today was really a simplicity day because it was moving. I mean, it was really moving. There was a lot of momentum. So this was a good day for simplicity. So then there would be, let's see, there's an early entry long, or not an early entry. Sorry, there is a simplicity long
Right.
right there.
Well, it never triggered here. This, I actually took this trade. So and so I think what happened is I actually left my order resting here because this was the initial setup bar.
Right.
And it broke, so I should have been in right here. I mean, I got in at the right price. So I did get in at the right price. It was just a couple of bars later. Now, I can tell you that I did a market read on this, the way I managed the stop. So it wasn't exactly by the rules because I had a target in mind. And my target was right here. It was this rose wall. That was my target. Okay? But let's see what happens. So this was our entry. Let me mark it. So we got this red dotted line right here, dashed line. That's where we got in. So right at this point right here, my original stop was still down here. Okay? Because I don't actually move my stop until after the solid green line breaks above my entry. So my stop actually stayed here. I never moved it. There's a couple ways to do it. A couple of people who are real conservative, they'll actually, once this line starts to move, they'll start moving their stop with it. I don't. And then this happened,
Big bar.
which scared the daylights out of me because I don't like big bars like this. Because usually when a big bar comes up, there's another big bar that's about to follow going the opposite direction.
Yeah, 100%. That's so true.
And
And
there
there it
it is.
is.
So, again, my stop was still down here. Once this thing turned to back green and the line switched, And you'll see what happens. Like right at this point, this is where I move my stop. Now my stop is here. Because this was my entry, and this is where we flipped and went solid again. So now my stop is here. And they moved to back here. And I think I was out on the next bar. Somewhere around here I was out. Did I stay? Oh, it never closed below here. So it never closed below. And it did this flip again. And then
There
when
you're
I saw
out.
this, then I was
I see
out.
it.
Because
Yeah.
I just wasn't comfortable with all this was going on. And I was like, this doesn't, something doesn't feel right. So I got out. And look at what happened.
And then it goes right into a simplicity short right after that. Like right after you got stopped out, it goes into a simplicity short.
So sometimes a market read helps a little bit. But it was just a little slight deviation from the actual rules. But not really.
Yeah, and then it goes into a simplicity short, and then it hits those levels and green eye zone, and then turns just right around.
And right back into a simplicity long again. And the problem is these bars they're pretty big, like this
Yeah.
one, that one, that one. So relative to the rest of what the market's happening, if we just, this is actual real size. So this bar, this bar, this bar, I mean, they're relatively bigger than all the rest of the bars that are, in play. So it kind of gives a little bit of concern. And then it starts going into this consolidation bounce between this area right here. So we would
And
look
then
for
there's
a
a
break.
simplicity long again.
Right, but again, I would look for a break above this area before I'd consider going anywhere. And we're already this is past our session.
Oh, hit noon. Okay.
Yeah, so I actually got out right at the end of the session too. So, and that was kind of like the end of it. Because see 1203, that's when I got out. I got out of the 1203 bar.
It was a good thing. Good thing you got out. But yeah, that's kind of a quick, recap on simplicity and just calling how Ron sees it and how I see it. Simplicity can be a really profitable trade setup. As long as you follow the rules and read, have some market reads in there with market structure and following the entries. I mean, nailing the entries and then nailing the stops and trailing it correctly is the way to go. Don't try to be a hero on every trade. Just take what the market gives you.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's okay to get out at profit, even if it goes beyond your target, and even if it goes by a lot. It's okay to take what you got and wait for the next trade. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So, any more final thoughts, Ben?
No, I don't got anything else. Think that was good. It was a good day in the market. There was a lot of movement. We got our scalps. You got that simplicity trade, so it was a good day.
Yeah, it was good. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching. When you do watch this, we will be streaming this after the Elite Room session on noon Eastern, Monday through Friday, hopefully. I don't know if we're going to do this every day, but we'll try to do it at least a couple times a week. And again, don't forget to like this video if you found it useful, and comment if you have any comments, suggestions. Subscribe to the channel so you get notified every time a new video gets posted, which I try to post stuff a couple times a week for what goes on in the Elite Room, where I'm actually joining Lori and Daryl, where we basically talk about all this stuff live and call out the best of the best live trades using the Lorex and Simplicity. And if you want to be a guest, if you're interested in actually being a guest and bring in some of your questions, some things you want to discuss and maybe learn. We'd love to have you. Send us a comment, or if you're in the ER, hit me up, send me a message, and we'll get that arranged for you. What do you think about that, Ben?
I think that would be a really good idea. I know there's a lot of people out there who are been trading a long time, and a lot of people who are brand new to it. And if we can help, or usually it's them helping me every time I talk to someone, regardless of their experience, I'm usually learning something new. So it goes both ways. It's a good thing.
Yeah. So if you're new to Apex and you want to be part of this little roundtable discussion, you're more than welcome. And if you're not familiar with Apex and you want to learn about it and bring some of your questions, we'd be more than happy to answer that and share our experiences with you. And with that, I'd like to thank you again, Ben, for joining me.
Of course.
We will see everybody on the next one. Take care, everybody.
Okay, bye.